So let Jaggi now respond to this, that there is no one uniform idea of India. There is no one Hindutva to which every person sitting here watching on television or social media must subscribe to. The fear in the path that we are going down is that one man, one idea, one language, one notion, one Hindutva, this is not what India is. And therefore, Nehru, for all his faults and failings, still provided a more multicultural, multi-plural idea, and it is an idea worth preserving and not just going down this road without having the kind of debate where we are imagining we are heading into Amritkal, we could end up in a very dark space instead.
No, one thing you tend to give Nehru the wrong credit for the wrong reason. He was an Indian who was looking at India from the outside in. We are now trying to look at India from the inside out. We are trying to discover who we are as a people, reconnecting with the past, reconnecting who we are as a people. That is very central. So Nehru wrote, for example, the discovery of India. Why did an Indian need to discover India? I don't know. Under the current last 25 years from Vajpayee and down to Modi, what we are trying to see is the rediscovery of Bharat. And what I mean by that is that we are now trying to come to terms with who we are, what is our heritage, and we need to look outside from the point of view of who we are, that we stay rooted and look out. We are doing what is called a Purva Paksha. We are looking at the world with different eyes, through our eyes, instead of the Westerners' eyes to look in it. This is where the India versus Bharat controversy is very important, but it highlights two ways of looking at you. At the outset, I must say, I think this nation benefits by having both the name India and Bharat, for the simple reason that we should use whichever is opportunistically useful for us. When the outside world sees us as India, we should use it for them because we have to conquer the world in terms of trade, whatever it is. But internally, for our own sense of who we are, the idea of Bharat is far more important. So I think it's very important. If you look at our political parties, a subliminal difference exists between parties that look for inspiration outside and the parties that have largely looked for inspiration inside. Just look at it. You have an Indian National Congress. All the parties that have looked outside for inspiration have India in the name. Indian National Congress is one of them, started by a British ornithologist. Then you have the various, what I call the communist parties. Their inspiration is Marxism, which came from outside. You have CPI, Communist Party of India, CPI-ML, CPLO. Then you looked at even, say, some of the communal parties like IUML. You have India in them. Their inspiration is the Ummah and other things, right? And if you look at one more, even say Ambedkar's Republican Party, it has India in them. But all other parties, even parties that have left the Congress, do not have India in their names. What does this mean? It means subliminally, we are separating the idea of India from Bharat. The parties that left the Congress do not have India in the name. Trinamool Congress, Nationalist Congress Party, or Telugu Desam, all of them. But all the others actually have RLD, RJD, none of them have India in their names, okay? So what I'm trying to say is, parties that have looked outside in, or wanted to look more outside than in, have India in their names. Parties that have looked in and now want to look inside out are actually the ones with Bharat. So Bharat is what is our natural rhythm, our sense of self. There is a rediscovery of Bharat that's happening. It is a transitional phase. I think worries about Hindutva and whether it will become a malignant force is a different issue. That we can come to separate. But this is about rediscovering our cultural sense of who we are. But and without knowing who you are, you will never be able to progress in the world. Let me tell you.
Is this not correct? That those who are sitting here and are above a certain age grew up at a time when, Western values or culture were more sought after. The Indians who are growing up now, these young adults, are actively seeking out their culture, their history, much more than in the past, and that's a good thing.
I think it's a good thing, but I am inherently against, while I rarely disagree with Jagannathan ji, I am basically against the drawing of black and white polarities. Now, to assume that India stands for what is in some respects external to India and Bharat is originally the name of India, ignores history. Where did India come from? It came from the word Sindhu, which stands for the Indus. Sindhu is the word that occurs in our Vedas. And the many variants of Sindhu became for the Greeks India, for the Chinese it became Shinto, for the Persians it became Hindu, and so on and so forth. And gradually the name that is derived, which is India, is actually not an external imposition. There are countries where it was imposed. Let me give you 2 or 3 quick examples. You have Sri Lanka, which replaced a British name, Ceylon, in 1972. You had Burma, which was a British colonizing name, replaced by Myanmar. You had Rhodesia, again a colonial name, which was replaced by
But
Namibia.
India is the way the Greeks, so the Persians referred to our country. So therefore, it is the exonym, the name given by outsiders to India. The endonym, the name given by us to ourselves, is Bharat.
Very true. Bharat also has an ancient lineage. But the word India is not only how the world saw us, but how we also identified ourselves as the culture and people who existed as a civilization south of the Sindhu river, the Indus. So, what I'm trying to
But
say...
the name was an external
And there was-
imposition.
No, no.
History says the name was an external imposition.
No, it's not an imposition.
Okay, external construct.
And over a period of time, India became synonymous with Bharat. That is why Article 1 of the Constitution, and by the way, the Constituent Assembly, which is created a remarkable document called this Constitution, which is a role model for enlightened compromises.